Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm going to be testing the brand new GeForce RTX 4060 8GB GPU. And yes, I said 8GB, this will only come in 8GB models. And yes, it is a downgrade from the 12GB on the RTX 3060. But hey, at least it's around 20% faster than the RTX 3060. I wish it was a bigger improvement though, but it's better than the 4060 Ti over the 3060 Ti. So there's that. And it's also a bit cheaper than the 3060 was at MSRP, coming in at $299 US, or 335 euros in the EU. So 20% faster, okay. Cheaper, yeah, that's great. Less VRAM, why? Why? Anyway, it has other advantages over the 3060, like power consumption. It's way better in that, with its 115 watts of power usage compared to 170 watts on the 3060. It has DLSS 3 technology. And that's about it. Now, talking about this RTX 4060 right here. This one is the MSI Ventus 2X Black Edition, which is one of the cheaper variants, so it will be interesting to see how the temperatures are with this little cooler and a 30-degree room temperature. That's 30 Celsius, okay? Yes, I'm boiling here. It's based on the Ada Lovelace architecture, like the other 40 series GPUs. It has 3072 CUDA cores, 96 TMUs, 48 ROPs, 8 GB of GDDR6 memory on a 128-bit memory bus. Yeah. It runs on PCI Express 4.0 x 8, another little bit of a downgrade. It has 96 tensor cores and 24 ray tracing cores. And finally, as I said, it only consumes 115 watts of power, which is extremely low. And I really like that. Time to install this in our system now and see how the 4060 plays some games. And me, because I'll be the one playing them. Shall we? First up, we got The Last of Us Part 1, super intensive game, and we're playing at 1080p using no DLSS and the high settings preset, which I think are very adequate for a GPU like this one, especially because if you set it to Ultra, it actually goes over the VRAM limits. Okay, here we go. Let's start counting our FPS and turn on our flashlight so we get like a single frame less or so, making it a little bit more intensive, you know. Get out of the way, Ellie, please. Now, another thing about playing on high settings instead of ultra settings is that it also does look really good on high. It's basically the same. There are a ton of comparisons out there on YouTube showing high settings versus ultra settings in this game, and after the latest patches and stuff like that, it looks so similar that it doesn't really matter. And since this was actually dropping from 60 FPS at ultra settings, 1080p native on a 4060 Ti, it would definitely drop on a 4060 as well. But the thing is, it will probably drop from 60 FPS right here around this corner. Let's find out. No? Okay, 61 right there. All right, that's a little bit better than I expected. I thought it would drop there. If it didn't drop there, it will definitely drop here. 60. It's not dropping. And by the end of this benchmark run, if it doesn't drop from 60 FPS, I will be, like, super freaking impressed. But it will definitely drop, guys, okay? It's getting 70s, and as soon as I turn around, are you ready? It will drop, for sure. Wait, oh, okay, there we go. 59. Well, it's 59. A slight overclock would actually put it at 60 plus 100% of the time in this game. I mean, I would still be perfectly happy with this experience. If you have a 3060, you probably know already that an upgrade to this wouldn't really be much of an upgrade at all, so you shouldn't really upgrade to a 4060. Now it's Red Dead Redemption 2. We're playing it at 1080p using custom hardware unboxed settings. These are optimized for the best visuals to performance ratio. And I am glad to say that in this particular game and some other games that we'll see here today, the 4060 is actually a lot faster than the RTX 3060 12GB model. I tested the 12GB 3060 in Red Dead Redemption 2 in a separate video. Ah! Right at the beginning, Roach. Are you kidding me? Okay, I tested it last week. And I don't know if it's because the 46... Why am I clipping into a freaking tree? I don't know. But I don't know if it's because After that 4060 Ti fiasco, that's only like 10% faster than the 3060 Ti, and not even that sometimes. Sometimes it matches the 3060 Ti. I was expecting the 4060 to be much, much slower. That's not the case. In some games, they will be similar, but more often than not, the 4060 is actually providing a decent bump up in performance over a 3060. Now, talking about the performance in this game, it's just absolutely awesome with these custom settings. It can actually play the game at high to ultra settings with above 60 FPS all of the time. Around here, it's dropping slightly from 100 FPS at times, but it is really, really damn smooth, guys. Like, zero stutters whatsoever. Yeah, it's also way better than like the Arc A770. Nothing to complain about in Red Dead Redemption 2's performance. You could even play at 1440p if you wanted to with a card like this in this particular title. Here we are, 1440p, same settings without DLSS. But yeah, as you can see, even here in Strawberry, it's getting 80s. And I just can't get out of here. What the hell? Arthur, you're gonna die! This is actually really good. I was expecting a little bit less here at 1440p. But no, it can still achieve 60 plus consistently. And it's gonna be buttery smooth even at this higher resolution of 1440. Now it's Call of Duty Warzone 2 at 1080p using the Ultra Settings preset. The only thing I changed was the anti-aliasing from Filmic to SMA82X because Filmic makes everything look super soft. As usual, I am dropping here in Zarqwa Hydroelectric, a really intensive area in this entire map. And I'm gonna start counting our FPS right away. We're gonna see the least FPS right now as I jump off the bridge and we touch the water. There we go, that's 74 right there, that's the minimum it will drop to, 72, actually 70, 69. Okay, well, I'm actually happy with the 69 right there. Now, that frame time graph is absolutely atrocious, and the 1% lows are horrible because of it, but that's completely normal in Warzone. For some reason, they never fixed those stuttering issues, and, well, it is what it is. It's just micro stuttering. It's not really noticeable, in my opinion. I can't really feel it that much, unless you are close to 60 FPS, by the way. If you are close to 60, it will get pretty stuttery and feel pretty stuttery. And around here in the foresty area, it gets around like 80 to 90 most of the time. It's all right, you know. Look at that dropping around here. It's a big city, by the way. It's getting 80s, 90s. Yeah, not a problem in this game. I think you're gonna enjoy the experience a lot here with the 4060 in Warzone 2. Next up is the beautiful Forza Horizon 5 super well optimized title, and we're playing this at 1080p TAA using no upscaling because you don't really need it, honestly, with a card like this. Extreme settings preset is being utilized, and let's start counting our FPS. Here we go, getting closer to 100 frames per second. Actually, these FPS are super similar to what the RTX 3060 12GB got at 1080p ultra settings instead of extreme settings. Now, there is a little bit of an issue with extreme settings. It's that after like 15-20 minutes of playing the game, it will give you a VRAM warning message, and it will start giving you that message every like 2 or 3 minutes or so, and it can be a little bit annoying. I think you can disable that in the options menu, but I'm not really sure about that, honestly. But on the other hand, the good thing is it doesn't really affect your FPS in any way. It doesn't make your game stuttery. It doesn't drop your frames. Oh my god, that was so close. So you're good even with an 8GB card. I've been playing it a lot with a 3060 Ti as well, which is also an 8GB GPU. Oh no, we lost our spoiler. It looks like crap now. Oh! Oh boy, look at this. We lost pretty much everything that there was to lose in this car. We don't have the mirrors, we don't have the spoiler, we don't have the license plates. No more GT710 in this video, my friends. Such a shame. Anyway, over here is where it usually drops the most. Actually, in a tunnel in this city is where it drops the most. But it is only dropping slightly from 100 frames per second. And surprisingly, like, that VRAM usage is still not at 8GB. That's 7.6 or so. Huh, interesting. All right. it's going to be a great experience in Forza. I think everybody expected that. Let's move on to the next one. Next up is Valorant, a competitive title that runs extremely well. So we're actually playing it at a 4K resolution and using the high settings, UI quality set to low because it doesn't really matter, and anti-aliasing is turned off. Needless to say that if it plays this game at 400 FPS plus on average and 4K resolution, it will play it absolutely flawlessly at 1080p as well, the adequate resolution for this card, or at least a targeted one. That's insane. Like, you are likely gonna be CPU bound if you play this game at 1080p resolution. That's why I'm not playing at 1080p, because it was getting like 70% GPU utilization, even with a 5800X3D. God damn it, stop killing me, you bastards! Wait, what? Are these doors? What the hell? Wait, we need to go there. We need to... How do I open this? Come on. Come on. There we go. There we go. Okay, it's probably not the best way to go. Of course, there's a guy just waiting there. Nice. Let's go. Back in the game. Not really. Oh, wait. I do know what's happening, actually. In the last few games that I made here in Valorant Deathmatch, I finished first place, so now the game puts me against pros, basically. You've seen enough. Let's move on to CSGO. Oh boy, look at those FPS. Jesus. Right. So this is CSGO at 1080p using the low settings with high textures and 4x MSAA. And it's still heavily CPU bound, but I guess this is better for visibility. And most people play like this. I do play like this at least. So let's go ahead and try to win this one, shall we, my friends? Oh yes, should be possible. It should be, especially after that Valorant fiasco. We need... Where did you come from? What the hell? We need to win this. Come on. Nice. Alrighty. Oh, hello there. It's Bot Troy. Thank you for the kill, my friend. He didn't even try. Okay, we got Polakito there. What is a Polakito? I have no idea. Lind Frages. Lind Frages, you mother of... Come on, nice. What do you want, Bell? This guy sucks. Oh, he just got us. No, but I'm gonna get him. Okay. Alright, nice. No, no, come on, nice, okay. 3 kills, very, very messy kills, but we got this. Ah. What are you doing, Swag? Do not camp like that. Nobody camps like that. Out in the open? Are you kidding me? How bad do you need to be? Goodbye, Bell, again. Alrighty, we won it. I told you. I'm not too bad at these games. Just Valorant that... Yeah. Now it's Cyberpunk 2077. We're playing at 1080p using the high settings preset with no DLSS or FSR. FSR comes on by default, by the way, and no motion blur as well. And guys, I chose the high settings preset instead of like ultra because first, high settings look really good. It's the same story as The Last of Us, for example. No need to play on ultra when high looks this good, you know, and performs this well. And second, on ultra settings, it was dropping into the lower 50s from time to time, actually quite often, and it was getting 60 FPS on average. So I'd much rather have the high settings enabled instead of ultra and achieve 60 plus 100% of the time in this game than get that 60 FPS experience at ultra settings. Goodbye, Bob! You know what? Nvidia is always talking about this DLSS 3 stuff, so I really want to check it out. So let's set it to the Ray Tracing Ultra preset, turn off DLSS and see how it runs at native resolution with Ray Tracing. It's gonna be terrible probably. Yep, okay. Not even 30 all of the time, I guess. It's probably gonna drop in just a little bit. Although it's hanging in there. Just by a little thread. I guess with like an overclock it could be possible for you to achieve 30 plus all of the time. Even with Ray Tracing Ultra preset at 1080p native. Let's enable quality DLSS and see how it runs for a bit. Ooh. Now it's actually getting around the same FPS as 1080p Ultra without Ray Tracing enabled. In native resolution, of course. So these are some settings for you to consider. If you really want to play with ray tracing, this is playable. It looks good. The reflections don't look as good as native resolution for sure. You're going to see a little bit of pixelation here and there because of how DLSS works with the reflections in this game. But still, in terms of like lighting and stuff, it's really, really pretty this way. And it's getting 58 FPS average, even here in a very intensive scenario. What if we disable this and enable DLSS frame generation? This probably looks a little bit softer than native res and DLSS quality as well. But the reflections aren't as low quality, I would say. Maybe they are. It's basically the same. But you do get close to 100 frames per second like this. Look at that. That's really impressive with ray tracing enabled. That's the power and the beauty of DLSS 3 and frame generation. But yeah, you can get used to the little input lag that comes with frame generation in this game with these kinds of FPS. If you got like closer to 60, it would be harder to get used to because then the input lag is actually quite high. But like this, it's okay. And of course, if you enable the DLSS on top of frame generation, right here, okay, quality DLSS, frame generation, ultra RT settings, it will get even higher FPS and it's going to be even smoother and less input laggy. Actually, it's almost the same. Interesting. Now it's Apex Legends and we're playing this one at 1080p using maxed out settings aside from this one right here. Okay, looking at the entire map, 140, 130s, 120s. Please don't drop more, come on. I'm not sure what's the most intensive part of this particular map, so I'm just gonna go to the middle of it. I like the colors over there, it might do for a decent thumbnail. Oh no, there's a squad already there. I'm gonna start counting the FPS and get the hell out of here, actually. Yeah, that's better. Okay. And this way we can actually see a ton of different places. Well, not a ton, but a couple of different places and the different FPS. And yeah, that's nice. Okay, let's grab some weapons now. It's looking really nice, this map, actually, guys. And you know what else is looking really nice? That frame time graph. It is buttery smooth. Like, there is zero stuttering in this game, which I love to see. 170s right here. This is a really high refresh rate experience. I like it, guys. Of course, we still need to see it during an ultimate, because that's where things will drop the most, but so far, so smooth. Okay, finally got my ultimate ready. This area is just not intensive at all. It's getting up to like 220 at times, because I guess there's no grass around us. That's pretty intensive. I hear somebody. Maybe it was that thing? I have no idea, actually. No, there's a guy right here. Okay, 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 okay. Let's go. Let's go, dude! Do not kill me! Do not kill me yet! I want to see explosions. Wait! Come on, explosions! There we go. Doesn't drop too much during explosions, guys. Next is Battlefield 2042 at 1080p using high settings and no DLSS or ray tracing. It's surprisingly similar to the RTX 3060, guys, in this game. Okay, I was expecting a little bit higher performance here in Battlefield. Good thing is, of course, it is still a really, really smooth experience, and I have been enjoying my time playing with this GPU at 1080p lately. In this game, but I have been using it with DLSS as well, just to make it a little bit smoother, and in my opinion it actually looks a little bit better with DLSS. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and enable it. Again, you don't need to, you already saw that it runs all right, and with DLSS enabled it seems like it gets around like 20 more FPS. Still not gonna be a like 144 Hz experience all of the time. Actually, it doesn't even reach 144 FPS, but it is a little bit smoother. You can actually notice it, and just slightly more responsive at the same time. We're dying here. Oh boy, damn you bastard with the shield, dude. It's the second time he killed me. Anyway, I don't know what you prefer in this game, but it will run well either way. Even on ultra settings, it will stay above 60 FPS. But I would play like this myself. And I think it delivers a really nice visual experience as well as smooth one at the same time. So this is perfect for me, for a 1080p monitor. Come on, nice double kill again. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. Camera over here, you bastard. There you go, there we go. There's another one there. Nice, got him. Let's push from behind. Flanking the bastards right now. Well, I really enjoy my time here in Battlefield with the D4060. The 3060 12GB performs around the same, so it's a bit underwhelming, but, well, okay. Let's move on. Now we're playing Diablo IV, and this is very similar in performance to the Arc A770 that I tried. So we're playing at 1440p in this one, because at 1080p it was getting really high FPS already. No DLSS, ultra settings preset, and we might actually try out DLSS frame generation in a little bit. Actually, it's maybe slightly slower than the Arc A770 here, but you know, the Arc cost me 379 euros just a couple of weeks ago, and this one, well, it's way cheaper, supposedly. I hope, at least, that it doesn't come out super overpriced like the other 40 series GPUs have been. Oh boy, okay. Also, it always stutters slightly at the beginning of the game here in Diablo 4. Unfortunately, it's so loud, dude, I can't even think straight. I mean, all I can say is that I expected this. It's nothing really out of this world. It's gonna be a good, smooth experience for the most part, unless you are traveling a lot into new areas. Then it's gotta load in the new areas, and it might stutter slightly. Okay, let's see. DLSS frame generation. Let's do like quality DLSS with frame generation enabled. See how many more FPS we get. And we're up into the 140s now, 150s even. So we gained about 40 to 50 frames per second. I mean, it might be slightly smoother. Visuals look super similar, actually, with frame generation and DLSS quality at the same time. But yeah, there's not much else to say here. It's gonna be okay in Diablo. Next is Hogwarts Legacy. We're playing at 1080p using DLAA, which is the best anti-aliasing method in this game, and we're using the recommended high settings. Now, at first I actually tried this a little bit on ultra settings, but it was stuttering a little bit too much. Could be because of the VRAM. And it was actually dropping from 60 FPS in some areas, especially down there with a lot of the trees and stuff. So I chose the high settings instead because the experience is a much smoother one. It's much more enjoyable this way, in my opinion. And this is how I would play this game with an RTX 4060. So now let's take out our broom and let's fly to the more intensive area for the GPU to render, which is in this direction right here. Let's see, 98% there. Okay, things are much more GPU bound, as you can see now. Dropping down into the 60s at times. Gosh, it's so hard to get below that bridge sometimes. Now over here, 66 FPS. Okay, so that's not bad. It means that it will stay above 60 FPS for the most part here in Hogwarts Legacy. If you lock your FPS, by the way, to 60, that's what I would do in this game, by the way. It will, oh, not 60 please. Okay, there we go. It will result in a much smoother frame time graph. As you can see, that's now completely flat. It will still have like a little spike here and there, but for the most part, it's gonna be way more stable and way more enjoyable. And as long as it doesn't move from 60, which it probably won't, it's gonna be a really, really nice experience. Time for Stutter Night. We're playing this one at 1080p using DirectX 12, high settings, but I made a couple of changes. I disabled Nanite virtualized geometry, which also disables the Lumen stuff, which is ray tracing basically, and I also set it to 100% resolution scale. And using these settings, we get insanely high FPS while retaining really good visuals. So I definitely recommend these if you want to be a little bit competitive, you know, but still have some great visual fidelity out of Fortnite. Start counting our FPS around the mega city area. Lots of colors, looking great. Getting 200 plus. The 5800X 3D is also keeping up really well here with the 4060. Now, this isn't really the most GPU intensive area in the entire game, but it's a really pretty one, and especially if you enable some ray tracing, it gets pretty GPU bound. But we're not gonna do that. Well, Maybe we should, because we're getting very high FPS. You know, good thing we died. So let's try this out, okay? High settings preset with 100% resolution scale still, and now with the lumen stuff enabled. So real-time global illumination as well as real-time ray trace reflections are being used. We also need to enable hardware ray tracing and restart the game to fully apply things. Okay, here we go again. Oh boy, oh my god, what is happening? Why? Oh my! CPU usage just went up to 100% there for a second. Okay. Also, ray tracing is not only GPU intensive, but it's also very, very CPU intensive. So that could be why we're seeing this. And the stability is so bad, dude. Like, the stuttering, at least so far while dropping, is way worse than it was. It's very unfortunate that it is like this, you know, because if it was smooth, it could have been a really nice experience here with ray tracing enabled. Hello. Why don't you look at me? What the? Oh, there's another one. Okay, I didn't notice this one. We're out of bullets, kind of. Let's go with this. Nice. Where did the other one go? Oh, he's gone at this point. Okay. I also tried it. I gotta say, oh, what happened? At 1440p high settings, 100% resolution scale without the ray tracing stuff or the lumen. And it was running very well. Does he have wall X or something? I think so, right? Oh boy. It was running at around like 115 FPS average in a foresty area, so you can even play at 1440p, but if you enable RT, it's just gonna be a terrible experience. And now Spider-Man Remastered is up, and we're playing this one using the 1080p res, using TAA native resolution, not using DLSS or frame generation, and the very high settings with ray tracing turned on very high. And using these settings, things seem to be pretty smooth, at least at the start of it. VRAM is still going up slowly but surely. Actually, it's stabilized probably at 7.5 gigs. Okay, I'll take it. It has a couple of stutters here and there. It stutters a bit more with ray tracing than it does without it. That's just the norm, guys. We gotta get used to it. If you want the beautiful visuals and the beautiful reflections, you gotta live with a bit more stuttering than before. Oh my god, that's a lot of stuttering, actually. I don't like it. I'm just gonna stop it there. I think it's swapping things from VRAM to RAM because the VRAM is not enough. Okay, let's turn off ray tracing and see how it does. And the thing is, like, the FPS with ray tracing were very good, you know. It provided a great experience here. If it wasn't for the stuttering and the lack of VRAM, it would have been great. But, yeah, now FPS are super high. There is no problem whatsoever with it. VRAM is also enough, I hope. It's going up a lot. Very fast, actually. Like, why? Don't surpass 8 gigabytes, please. And, well, you do also have the DLSS frame generation stuff, which also uses a little bit more VRAM. It looks a little bit softer as well, but it increases your FPS even more. It's not like a game-changing experience in this one, because it was already buttery smooth previously, but it does make a little bit of a difference. I don't like this softness though, so I wouldn't really use it here. Now let's run the benchmark of Far Cry 6 at 1080p using ultra settings with ray tracing enabled, as you can see right here, and no HD textures because, well, 8 gigabytes is not enough. And let's hit that start counting FPS button, and it seems like it's gonna be a really smooth experience. I was actually impressed when I saw that this is running at native resolution, ultra settings, with ray tracing enabled and getting around 100 frames per second. That's quite great. If all you want is play Far Cry 6 with maximum graphics, the 4060 is definitely capable of doing so without stuttering. Unfortunately, again, the HD texture stuff, you can't really utilize it. You have to download it separately, and it says that you need an 11 gigabyte GPU to run them, so even like a 3080 wouldn't be able to run it, a 10 gigabyte version. So there's that, but it still looks extremely good like this, and it runs buttery smoothly. Yeah, it's great. Next up is Resident Evil 4 Remake at 1080p using the ray tracing graphics preset. This is it, and it's absolutely fantastic, my friends. It's actually really smooth. I've been playing it for about like 5 minutes already. And I've seen like 2 stutters while it was loading something. And for the most part, this has been buttery smooth. Now we're approaching a little bit of a more intensive area. As you can see, dropping into the 90s. But I think this is a really optimized title, and it runs very well in these recent GPUs. Now, I was expecting to run into... Oh, there's another stutter right there. Oh boy, not into this. I was expecting to run into like a VRAM bottleneck issue and where it would max out the VRAM usage, you know. But that's not the case here. We can actually play with an 8GB card absolutely fine as long as we play at 1080p and we don't max out the settings to the maximum. All right here, there's a ton of NPCs. They're not really intensive. The fire effects seem to be pretty intensive, though. You can see that it's dropping into the lower 80s at times. But this is not a problem. You little lady. No, my God. These people are insane. Okay, this is not YouTube friendly at all anymore. We're just going to move on. Now it's GTA 5 in DirectX 11 1080p using 4 times MSAA and the maximum settings aside from post effects, which is set to normal because it introduces bloom and motion blur and I don't really like it. Advanced settings are all turned off. Let's go. Start counting our FPS. So it's going to be a high refresh rate experience. Even at 1440p, this will do an amazing job in GTA 5 because, of course, the game is quite old at this point. It's 10 years old. It released 8 years ago on PC though, but still, it's a very old game at this point, but it is still very popular and that's why we're including it in this video. Actually, no, it's because of Jack. And we gotta kill Bob, obviously. Yeah, these FPS are a little bit worrisome, guys. Like, there is such thing as FPS being too high, and in GTA 5 that is a problem. I've seen this with a lot of GPUs already, especially when the 30 series came out. Like, a lot of GPUs were achieving the FPS cap from the engine in this game and breaking everything. So far, so good, though. And now, finally, in grassy areas, things become super extremely intensive, right? Like, it can drop into the 70s from 150 on average previously. No, Jack, are you there, buddy? I'm coming to see you. Please don't run away from me, okay, dude? Oh, there he is. I said, please don't run away from me. What are you doing? You're not dead, guys. It's just they took a little bit of a nap there, okay? Jack, why are you avoiding me so much? Why don't you even talk to me today? Don't you like the 4060? Alright, down here, I'm really curious. Will it drop into the 60s? Nah, probably not, yeah. 60s is asking too much, or too little, for this card. Alright, and finally, goodbye, Bob! Nice to kill you. Yes, I was gonna say meet you, but it's not nice to meet Bob, obviously. Alright, guys, it's conclusion time. I'll have Assassin's Creed Valhalla, as well as Rainbow Six Siege a little bit later, running here on the benchmarks. And, well, the little 4060... It's not a 4060 Ti case. Let's say that right away, because that GPU was just so underwhelming in all levels that, aside from power consumption, I just couldn't really recommend it whatsoever. This one, at $299, it's not that bad of a deal, you know. I was actually expecting it to perform a little bit slower or to deliver a worse experience in some games than what we actually saw here. Now, it's a $299 GPU in 2023 aimed at 1080p gaming, so... I'm not sure if those 8 gigabytes of VRAM will age very well. Of course, I don't know the future. Nvidia, for example, says that DLSS 3 and frame generation are much more important than the 12 gigabytes of VRAM would be on this GPU. I doubt it, honestly, guys. I don't know about that. I would have liked to see more VRAM on this card. Maybe, like, there is the possibility, it's real, that the RTX 3060 12 gigabytes might actually be more future-proof, you could say, than the RTX 4060, which is just stupid and unheard of in the past, I think. Like, what? At 300, I think it should have had, like, 10 gigabytes. 10 gigabytes would have made a lot of difference in the recommendations of this card, for sure. That's been it for this one. Let me know what you think of the little 8 gigabyte RTX 4060 down in the comments. and I'll catch you in the next one very soon. As always, love you all. Bye-bye.